Yo. Film gods, hello. Last week in August, holy moly, absolutely flying by. An episode 83 with just a legend. Just re-listening the episode this morning and pulling out all the quotes, there was just so many. It's going to be really tough to kind of just to pick the 5 or 6 to go on the socials. Which go and check us out on Instagram at Film Gods Podcast or at Time Scheduler, my work one, just so you can get more info on what's happening. I want to say thank you to Hadi for just getting up so early when we recorded it back a few months ago. He was such a gentleman, such a scholar, and was absolutely immaculate. Ridiculous at 6 a.m. You're going to have such a great time listening. Obviously, it was a double week as well. We had one of our LSA students who's looking for some work experience on Monday. Go listen to that little short ep. We've had 2 so far, Grace and Anna. They've been amazing. And then to finish off, don't forget Film Family. We are sponsored for the next couple of weeks by Rate, the APA Shoot Diary. It's an app. You download it on the App Store. Use promo code FILMFAM, FILMFAM, to get 6 months free. 6 months free. Go do it now. Go.
Let's get started.
So, good morning, Film Family. We have got someone here today who I've never met. We've had a very quick, brief chat before we hit record. Firstly, I've got to say, ladies and gents, we're recording. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, so I've got so much love that someone who I don't know is getting up this early in the morning to tell me their story and to tell us their story. So just massive love, like just huge love. So without further ado, sir, what is your name and what is your role on the call sheet?
My name is Hadi. I am a director. That's what they call me anyway, to my face. Behind me, they call me lots of other things, but they call me the director, yeah.
And what does I guess, firstly, in what sector, so short form, long form, and then what does it mean to you to be a director?
I work mainly in commercials. Mm-hmm. I make TV commercials. I work, God knows, all over the place. And like most directors, I've got a few projects which, in the long form, which I think hopefully within the next month or so, I should be hearing some things that will be happening early next year. Well, fingers crossed what happens with the pandemic. Yeah, so that's what I do. I do mainly commercials, but dipping my toes onto the other side. So that's what I do, yeah.
And so I always love to, at the beginning of the majority of the podcast, just start from the beginning. And it's wherever your beginning is to realizing that, one, your destiny was to be a director. And then whether it's serendipitous that it's short form, but just what's the starting point for you, sir?
Starting point is really because what happens is that you go through life, with, I don't know, you see yourself doing this, taking this journey, walking this path, and so on and so on. But somehow along the way, you always think, is there another path? Is there another path? Is there another path? Is there another path? And the lucky people end up finding a path for something that they love. And that's really it. I've been in love with filmmaking, with storytelling since I was a kid.
Nice.
The best storyteller I know was my grandmother. My grandmother used to tell us stories when we were kids. And this is a Nigerian Yoruba, elderly woman. It was very sweet. But what she'd do is, when she would tell you a story, she'd tell it in such a way that she'd use everything to convey, to create an image in your head.
Wow.
She'd use her voice, she'd drop her tone, her eyes would move, everything about her, the whole being just would completely shift to tell you the story. And that always stayed with me. And that was my favorite thing, just listen to her stories it's not like England where they tell you stories at night. That story can happen any time of the day. It doesn't really matter. So for us, we should just put it down, tell us another story, So,
Love it.
So that for me was really where it's all started. Just telling stories and hearing stories. And in a way, that's what I do. I try and tell stories. I try and use all the tools that I can. Whatever do I have? I have a camera. I have a script. I have the lights. I have the sound, and I have the location and the people in front of the camera. So, in a way, my grandmother had one thing. She had her voice and her being.
Wow.
Whereas I've got all these things that to help me tell the story. So that's what I do. I tell stories.
That's
And
amazing.
it's fun. I enjoy telling stories.
Like you're talking about, and I'm kind of my head. You flip it, and I'm like, yeah, like grandparents, and whether it's a generational thing, because there was no YouTube and this, that, the other, and or maybe that element of storytelling was just so part of who they are. Did you find that when you were there, when you were listening, was there something that you were like? Did you see pictures? Did you see images? What was what is that creative process of the storytelling? How does it start?
What she does, the better the storyteller is,
Yeah.
the more of the picture, the bigger the picture there is. She just makes the picture big. She not necessarily in terms of just scale, but in terms of she humanizes the story. She wants you to be on this person's side. So her voice will be completely different because she's trying to tell you that we're on this side. And when it's somewhere that she doesn't want us to go, she go, okay, her voice will change again, and her whole mannerism will change. And honestly, I think she's probably the best teacher that I ever had. Because I used to just watch her and think, God, I love this woman's story. And we're very close. But anyway, so I think the main thing is paint the picture, and I think she showed me very quickly. I don't even know. I didn't even had no ambitions. How old was I? I must have been between 5 and 8, 5 and 9, and I had no thoughts of this. This was not even in my realm. What I do now, but somewhere it kind of locked in the back of my mind and it stayed with me. So
amazing.
I think the importance of telling stories to kids or whatever it is it's something that we've lost. We now our phones are this, our that. But I think just sharing a story it can be informative in many ways later on.
So how did that kind of subconscious seed of storytelling, how did that then manifest into thinking films and making films? What was that transition?
What happens is that, look, you kind of, I very often, sort of, I can hear a piece of music or I get a thought and suddenly I'm making a film. Wow. I don't need everybody. I don't need the whole crew. I can just sit, I can literally, if you tell me right now, oh yeah, okay, he's coming in camera left. Okay, I can see him. He's gonna do this. Oh yeah, they're gonna fall in love at this moment. Oh no, there'll be conflict here, or there'll be challenges along. So I can literally see the story, and I think I do. My challenge is to get what is in here out. That's the problem. That's the real challenge. Yeah, seeing the story here, I literally close. I have no problem.
The best commercials in the world locked up in there.
Yeah, it's like I've got so many things locked away here that the problem is when you get out there, fuck, that DOP didn't get what I really wanted. It's his fault. He's a bastard. Joking aside, I think it's really important to be able to visualize it yourself. Tell the story yourself. Sit down, think it through. Okay, what am I trying to say? Okay, this is where we're going. Oh wow, okay. Honestly, most of the time it's a piece of music. A piece of music can do wonders. Or a light. There's sun coming in at a particular time in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the traffic is outside, or a siren goes past, and suddenly, okay, there's a story here. And you start to build it. Okay, you start to piece it together. what if this happens? I mean, one the feature I'm working on at the moment was a very simple idea, very super simple idea, but it's taken a life of its own. It started in my head, and then it goes on paper, and then I build it, build, and then so on, so on, so on. So that's how. I don't know if that. Hopefully that answers your question. I hope I did.
So why did so that you kind of that phrase of I put it on paper, to film students, to directors that are trying to figure out their creative process. What does that look like for you? What are you sketching? Is it like brain maps? Is it words? Is it phrases? What does that bit of paper at the end of the day, once you've kind of gone, I've got everything down, what is on that paper?
Literally, I wrote some bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
I write a few bullet points, I put them into cards, and I say, okay, I don't know, boy meets girl for argument's sake. Yep. And I'll write that. Okay, where does that go next? That goes here, another bullet point, and I put down another card, and then I, whatever, ex-lover comes in, whatever, from Lagos. I'll put down another piece on another card, and so on and so on. So I just by the end of it, I'll have like 15, 20 cards. And then I start to shuffle them around. Nice. I start to play a little game with the cards.
Yeah, nice.
And very often I'll say, okay, you know what? Fuck that. Why don't we take the last card and put it at the top? What if we start the story at the end? And then, okay, that doesn't make sense. That's actually, no, that's a bit nasty. Okay, then we go back again. Okay, let's put it in the middle. So the card becomes my little dance that I do a little dance with the card until I feel like, okay, that card is in a good place. Those cards are in a good place. And then I start to flush it out. Just start to write it out and hopefully it makes sense. And when I see I'm struggling, for some reason, it's easy to put it all down on a card, one word makes it all make sense. But if you see that, okay, yeah, the cards made sense, but when you put it down on paper, there's now a bit of a challenge. Okay, let's go back to the cards again. Let's reshuffle the cards. And you reshuffle the cards again. And eventually you kind of get it to make sense. But I think
I heard about David Bowie. I think it was David Bowie, and he wrote songs like that. So he would write a sentence and then he'd cut the sentence out a bit of paper, and there'd be a load of sentences, and then he'd like shuffle them around, because what would make sense in his first draft then actually became these beautiful pieces of work once you then mixed up the creative process.
I didn't know Bowie did it, but
I'm sure it was Bowie, or I'm sure it was Bowie. I'm putting my, I'm sticking the flag on the moon. I'm sure it was Bowie. I'll check it later. That's amazing. And does that process still, does that kind of have the same outcome in short form? Do you get a script from the agency and start going, right, I'm going to write on cards and come up with little ideas for your treatment? How do you, or what's your treatment phrase?
Exactly the same process. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the first thing, look, when we get a script in from an agency, the first conversation the producer and I need to have is, what do the agency need from us? Do they need us? Do they just need a steady pair of hands to steer the ship to a port and give them exactly what's on the paper, because they've seen something similar on your reel before, so they just want you to steer that to port? Or are they saying, fuck that, we're not happy with the ship, we're not happy with the destination, we're not happy with anything, so
to build a plane, I want this guy to build me a plane. Yeah.
And I need to go to fucking Antarctica. So that's actually the first question that the producer and I ask each other.
Yeah.
And so if they say, look, Hadi, they want to get this to port, then okay, we'll work the treatment accordingly. So therefore my cards come in less because they've already done their card, and there's no need for me to go in and tear it up, because they've been with the client for 6 months. The creators have been working on this thing forever, so you've got to respect their work as well.
Yeah.
So there's no point tearing it up. But sometimes they'll say, "Look, Hadi, we're really not happy with this. We think we can do better. Build us a plane." I say, "Okay, I'll build you a fucking plane. It's not a problem."
All day long.
I love building planes. That's what I do. Do you want to rock it while we're at it? So that's the first decision that had to be made. Yeah. But the challenge always is, they'll tell you we need a plane, but they don't really want a plane. They want the ship, or the client's never going to buy into the plane. So therefore, you just got to, we'll get it wrong more often than not. And we'll go in with lots of ideas where they don't want the ideas, or we'll not go in with enough ideas when they want, so it's a dance, but that's life. Life is always a dance. You've got to just do your best and be yourself and navigate your way through it. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. Don't beat yourself up. Be down for a moment, and then tomorrow watch a game of football or whatever it is you want to do, and then
it's back. Yeah. Lockdown's
back.
lifted. It's kind of ish. It's back. Yeah, it's good.
It's back.
And that, so like, what was, because I guess that process of getting a ship, and they want a plane, and actually they just wanted a ship with wings. Is it experience that you start to figure out, oh, hold on, they've always wanted the ship? I'm kind of using the ship and the ship and plane. Have you just with the longer you've done it, the more you kind of realize the process, the dance, does that dance get better with the experience?
100%. I mean, if I was starting today to work in this industry, I'd be confused as fuck. I would say, oh my God, what are these people?
Okay.
Simply because one person, it's challenging, to navigate your way through it, because, like you said, they don't really want a plane. They wanted a helicopter yesterday.
Yeah.
And you were not there yesterday. And, they're asking you for a ship today. So, and so it's really hard to navigate. So, but the lot more you do it, and also I find that genuinely go in and listen. When you go in to talk to the agency, or when you're on the phone or in a conference call, just listen. Try and read between the lines, because one creative will be steering you one way, or account handler, or the producer will be giving you certain pieces of info. But there'll be certain little nuanced, subtle things going on that another hint that's coming from elsewhere, or that might be coming from the call before, or the meeting before, or something they've just spoken to discuss with the client that's not clearly on paper. So you've got to be clever and try and tune in and genuinely listen to what everybody's saying in the room around you, and pick up little details. And then you and the producers come out of the meeting and sit down and say, okay, did we get that right? Is this your understanding? Because this is my understanding. What's your understanding? My understanding is this. Okay, let's build a plane. Okay, let's go and build a plane. And once you've started building a plane, you just got to go all the way out, build a fucker.
Yeah.
Don't even try and say, let's be safe, or let's make it live with smaller wings just in case. We're building the plane, bro. Just build a fucker. Just go.
Or else it turns into cheat bang bang, and it's like it's neither a plane. No, what is it? What is it?
Nothing. So if you're gonna do it, just go all the way. And I think I'm a big believer in do something, just go. Don't hold back. There's nobody's gonna. They're gonna hate you, or they're gonna love you. So it doesn't really matter. So just do what you got to do, but don't be half-hearted about it. That's all.
Amazing. So you're here, top of the game. What's the first? Did you start off did you do uni for film? Or did you film school? Did you just get straight into filming and become a director? Were you a runner? What's that? What's the younger you? How is that younger you getting into the industry?
I went to film school. I went to London International Film School, and I spent a few years there. Made films. That's how I learned. Then I came out. When I came out of film school, I was working in a bar, having enjoyed myself, playing and getting drunk a lot. But afterwards, one day I just said, enough of this, and I just went out, picked up a camera, shot something on my own. That got into shots.
Wow!
Immediately got into shots. A producer called me and said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's do it." And that's it. That's
so easy.
it sounds easy. It sounds easy, but
I know that it's not as it like that. The process of. Oh, is it that easy? Is it just that it was just the right time, it was the right idea, it felt right for you, it was the moment. You listen to yourself, to the universe, to God, like to whatever you listen to. Was it just it was the right time?
I think yes, to a certain degree. I think it is the right time, and that's luck. That you can't you can't plan that. But also the other aspect is you've got to be relentless.
Yeah.
You've got to, okay, I'm going to do this little test on my own, just shoot it, and hopefully somebody will like it. And 2 months late, as soon as you finish that and you've blagged all the favors in Soho, and the edit, you're like persona non grata in a lot of post houses, and fucking hell, him again. What does he want now? You've done all that. You've got to have just the hunger to go again. Right, we've done that one. I'll do another one, and I'll keep doing it. I'll do another one again next week. I'll do another one the one following week until that happens. So, in a way, yes, you've got to listen to you've got to be there at the right time and be lucky and all that stuff. And it is your time. But you've also just got to keep going. Just keep going. Be relentless, and tell stories. Just keep telling stories and keep making things happen. And eventually you'll accumulate a body of work and a body of interest, stuff interesting enough that it should happen on its own. You don't, and that's still my philosophy today. I still feel like I'm on a journey somewhere. Yeah. I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm on a journey somewhere. And I'm just keep relentless. I mean, today, for example, my son's school, I don't know, somebody wrote me into doing a little video for them. And it's been more challenging than any client ever. Because I've got to deal with parent politics and make sure that I don't offend this or don't offend that, make sure all the boys are included and this and that and that. But it's fun. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I might on my website, I might even put it on my website just for fun for a week or so, because it's just, you've got to play. And I think the more you play and you experiment, I think the more likely it may happen. If you just sit there and just hope, fingers crossed, and hope for the best, it's not going to happen, dude. You literally have to be a genius.
The experience you're talking about there about making a small little film for your kids, that kind of sounds it, and I hope this doesn't sound like it's for me it's a positive, but it's like it sounds like that, not inexperience of youth, but that kind of love for the job. Like it's that kind of passion for a project that you're like, I'm gonna fucking make a film for my kids. It's not I'm a quote unquote, a big time director. I'm sorry, I don't make, kids films with non-act. It's none of that. It's just like, I'm going to make a film. You probably shot it, not, you haven't got a crew of 60 people behind you. It was just the love of finding something to film. That sounds amazing.
I think anybody that's going to get into this industry, you need, whether it's long form or short form, in whatever capacity, if you're in it to make lots of money, then you're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
It's not, if you're in it because you love it and you want to tell stories and you want to play, you want to experiment. And I find when I get into the edit suite, I'm learning. I was like, oh wow, I never thought that would have come, that plus that equals that. Oh, wow, I've learned something new about humanity, about us, about whatever it is, about the human condition. I think that for me is what I love the most. I love playing and experimenting and going on journeys. And if you take that away, which advertising has a tendency to do, the experimenting and the playing, then you're killing the soul of storytelling. That's my take out of all of it. So I think It doesn't matter what you put your hand to. Just love what you do and just keep shooting. Shoot. Edit. Put music on. Oh, I don't like that music. Try another music. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, we'll go again. Next week we'll do something else. It will be my son's football team, or it'll be something for you or for whoever. Sort of. Yeah, let's just keep going.
And has it always been directing? Has that always, like, you just knew from day one, directing is what I wanted to do? Or did you go, oh, I quite like being a DP, or I really want to be a scriptwriter? What, it sounds like you love storytelling. Was it just that the role of director allowed you to kind of story tell the whole thing?
Initially, when I first started, when I went to film school, I thought I was going to be a DP. And when I used to operate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I put my early jobs, I would always pick up the camera, or sometimes. So the photography side has always been a pull for me. But the more I did it, the more I realized that actually I'm not very good at that. I'm shit at that. That's not really what I'm good at. I think I'm better on that side.
Self-awareness. It's amazing.
And I mean, we'll come on to that later on, but I have a massive respect and love for my DPs. They are my brothers. My DPs are top. They're just great humans and very talented humans. So I think when you realize that actually, you know what, that is not my strength. That other side I'm better at that. I'm better at shaping the picture. Of course, there's always a visual input. My work, that's what my work is. My work is I'm a visual storyteller. But I think shape. I love working with performance. I like talking to my cast. And so directing. And there's so many things when you direct. I mean, I feel for DPs sometimes because they walk away. They give us this great footage, and they put their heart and soul into it. They got up at God knows, because I'll go off with the DP on my own without everybody. Just the two of us. We'll get up at 2 a.m. and shoot. God knows the sun coming up, especially now this time of the year, at 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah, amazing.
So we'll go and do stuff like that, and then they'll just hand it over to me and say, "See you later." Sort of, bye, Hadi. And I'm like, dude, you just put your soul. You got up with me.
Yeah.
I feel for them, and you've got no control of the music. You've got no control. I might turn into a piece of turnip. I might turn it into something that you'd hate.
Yeah.
But they never put, most of them anyway. They never put their ego in the way. They just trust, and they say, "No, you'll be fine, Hadi. I know what you do. You'll be good." Much love. Send me the offline when you're done next week. I say, yeah, sure. So I send them an offline. I hear their input, and of course they're always critiquing it from their perspective, which is the photography.
Yeah.
And I said, don't worry about that. It's fine. If I could can we not do this shot again? I said, we're done, dude.
We're not getting up at 2 o'clock. We had our chance.
We're done. We're done. We're not going back. We're not going back.
The camera's back with Ari or who? Yeah, Panavision.
Exactly.
We're out.
We're done. So, but I have a lot of love for DP. So yeah, I mean, I think I realized it very early on, shortly after film school. But every now and then, I'll still, like I said, I'll still pick it up. And,
dip your toe in.
Dip your toe in and just.
And is that relationship with the DP? You mentioned kind of your producer. Have you got? Is that one person that you've formed a relationship with, and the two of you do everything together, or do you kind of? Is your producer someone that works for you it's like you've got a producer for short form, you've got a producer for long form. How do you, because it sounds like you're very family orientated. Your grandmother with her storytelling, and you got your boys. You'd want to do as much as you can with them. Do you have that same kind of family mentality about the closest people around you on a film set?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think, look, you've got a film crew, how many of us? There's normally about 50, 60 of us, something like that.
Mm.
Sometimes more, sometimes a bit less. You know, you can't have that special relationship with everybody on set.
No.
But what I try to do is I have the people that I'm really walking the path with really is my producer, because obviously we go in together from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
My DP, okay, obviously my first on set, because we become like a unit, and the first is a role that a lot of people, I'm sure you've talked to enough firsts and you've seen enough firsts, but it's a challenging role because he has to wear many hats, and it's I can empathize with the challenge with the challenges of a first, but he needs to be on my side of the family,
yeah,
for it to work.
Yeah,
he can't be in any other camp, because if he's on the other camp, then we're pulling in slightly different directions. So. You know, so when I sit for lunch, when we sit down for lunch, I try and sit with the first and my producer, my DP. We all sit down, we become friends, we go for drinks afterwards, we chat, and da, da, da. So yes, that I try and maintain that unit and keep it as tight as possible and keep it as civil as possible as well. But you know, I have different producers for different, you know, depends what I'm doing. And also I like having different producers, and you know, like male producers, female producers, you know. I think it's good to mix it up, and it keeps me on my toes. So once that family unit is formed, we'll stay together for a while. The job is done, we'll break it up, we'll form another family.
Yeah.
That's what we do in films. We're very promiscuous. We're a very promiscuous group. You know, it's like, right, you're my best friend for this week.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, see you later, adios, yeah, fuck you, I'm moving on. I've got a new family now. And my DPs do that to me, you know. Sort of, and every now and then they call me, say, I'm with what's his name now, we're doing this. And I'm bastard, you know. That's not what you were saying last week. Last week, I was the best thing ever. This week, you're with so-and-so. You've moved on. So that's what we do. But it's fine. It's fine.
Amazing. And that, what does, you know, I always like to ask kind of, you know, pencil to invoice, but the processes, and I guess specifically for short form, pre-production, production, post, just can you just give us a quick little overview of how those different areas, do they need a different part of your brain? Do they need a different part of you do you like commit to it and to get the most out of each of those sections of filmmaking?
When I first started advertising, as usual, the script comes in. Oh wow, do you like it? Do you want to do it? Oh yeah, let's do it. This is brilliant. Oh, this is gonna be good. You know, whatever it is, you find it. Or even if you have doubts, you think, I'm not sure this is any good, but do you see something in it? Okay, leave it with me, let me mull it over. You think about it. Okay, let's do it. You go in for the meeting or the call or whatever it is. You finish that, you walk away either more inspired, I love these guys, I really want to work, I really want to do this, I want to make this work. Or you think, I don't really get what they want. Fuck man, how are we gonna do this one, bro?
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully, you know, you're on the same page. I'll go away, like I said, I'll do my piece of paper. I mean, and then shape it all out. Okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And then you just sit down, type it all up. You know, these days we have to spend crazy amount of time putting imagery and image researchers and all that kind of stuff, sticking imagery on. You create a little magazine of some sort that, you know, that you can share with the agency. They buy into the idea. Okay, we're up and running. Now that we're up and running, we start to, now let's get ready to film it. So I always forget, okay, that's the treatment. Let's put that away now. We're done.
Okay.
Then we're done with the treatment. The treatment's done. You know, I know what it contains. It's already, you know, we wrote it for God's sake. You know, it's locked away in the back. It's locked away in my head. And let's actually make the film. And then you have to deal with production challenges. You know, hey, but that's going to be a 14-hour day, or that's going to be a 16-hour day, or that's going to be okay. can I get up at 4 a.m? No, you can't get up at 4 a.m, because that means we have to wrap. So you have to deal with all those challenges, the logistics, to make sure the day doesn't, the production doesn't get haywire. Fine, and the producer will tell me, whatever. He'll give me his limitations or her limitations. And then I'll go, okay. And I'm always challenging, okay, what if I get up, me and the DP, go and do, what if I lose this slot?
Yeah.
I negotiate with them. What if I lose this slot and I do this and I do that? Okay, that might work. So we find solutions between the two of us. Coming back to what I was saying about when I first started. When I first started, the shoot was the be all and end all for me. I used to look forward to the shoot. I was like, oh my God, the shoot's going to be amazing. And I would, because why? Because I've got all my toys. I've got these lovely, great big lenses. I'm shooting on 35. I've got cranes, dollies, whatever, all the toys that I never had at film school. I never had at film school. I used to, in order to save stock, we're so challenged. In order to save stock, I used to say roll camera. Sorry, I used to say action and then roll camera. So to save that little lag in between. So, and I'm not gonna waste my stock on you walking up to there. Yeah. I'm gonna shoot what I need. We used to literally edit in camera. So, but now I'm on set. I've got all this. I can roll forever.
Yeah.
Oh Christ!
You're like,
okay,
turn
brilliant.
over, right?
Turn
you
over,
make me a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Go, right.
You can do whatever you like.
Oh, wow.
So,
do you still shoot 35? Or have you made that digital transition at all?
No, I've done both. I do both every now and then. Of course, for producers' sakes, you have to do digital. But I still go back to 35 whenever I can. Amazing. Whenever I can arm wrestle them hard enough to win the battle. So and then so when I first started, so that would be the thing. I used to love the shoots, and then I'd finish and I'd go to the edit suite. I'd hate the editing process because I used to call that edit suite the room of unfulfilled dreams. I used to hate it. I used to just think I had this idea in my head and it's never happened, and it's got to be the editor's fault. It's got to be this editor's shit. I want a new editor next week, and so on and so on. But gradually, what I've done is I've changed my shooting style a bit. Because previously it was boarded. I used to board it. Pop, this is shot number 1, shot number 2, shot number 3, shot number 4. Fine, great. And I'd shoot exactly that moment that I needed from there, exactly the moment that I needed from here, exactly the moment that I needed from there. But now, it's still boarded because everything used to be boarded. And it's even boarded even tighter these days.
Wow.
Now I let the shot run a lot longer. I will bring him in from, I don't know, if I need a guy sitting down at the table, for instance, I will come up the stairs with him from outside. I'll put his key in the door, go through, sit down at the table, and open the computer. I'll make the shot last a lot longer than previously did. What happens now? I'll just tell it as a story, tell it as a film, as long form. Because now, when I get into the edit suite, I've got so much to play with now.
Yes.
I can turn the story upside down. I can actually forget the sitting at the table. I can have him walking up the stairs and then going straight to the kitchen and making a cup of tea, because that's where it's eventually going to go anyway. So you can, editing is such an important part of the process that a lot of people do not understand. People think that the joy and the art of storytelling is actually is the shooting. No, it's the construction at the end, which is in the edit suite. So now, it's like I said, the edit suite is my favorite part of the process.
Yeah, you're not almost. Almost all of the directors who I've spoken to, and at your tier of directing, the edit is the most important part for them. It's somewhere, as you said, it's somewhere that, and they've actually, a few have kind of mentioned about being on set it's not really them. It's like it's not really the most important bit. They're like, if I think even someone mentioned that if they could get someone to shoot the commercial for them, they'd let them do that. You know, and that was really surprising for me, because I guess obviously having never been a director and never gone through all those processes, you know, I only see the shooting floor, so that's the only thing that I know. And that's a bit like, I'm starting to get a real big picture of the importance of it. And I've spoken to editors, and I try, you know, back in when I was at film school, uni, I just couldn't get editing. It's a dark art. There's something about, and I've tried to talk to them about it, and there's like, it's a feeling. And I guess it's like writing a piece of music or coming up with an idea. You can't teach the creative process. Like it would be difficult for you to really pass on your coming up with an idea process, because it's who you are, it's your experiences, it's your brain, it's how you work. And that, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I find it really interesting about how important that edit is for a lot of the big time directors. Really important.
Because it's when you build, it's where you build it. It's where you really build it.
Yeah.
It's where you actually you stitch it all together, you make it fluid. You know, you can't, you know, you need the pieces from the shoot. Literally, the shoot is the factory where you make the separate components. That's what it is. Whereas when the place where the magic comes alive is where you take all those components and put it all together to make one interesting piece of work, or one interesting piece of sculpture. A sculpture, a table, a chair, whatever it is. But the shoot is the components. You're creating the components. You know, by making, you know, I've shot many shots where, oh wow, look at that shot. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, look at the sun. Look at the light. Oh wow. And we're all literally going off on set and thinking, this is the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
And then I show it to my editor. He goes, yeah, it's all right, but we're going to use that, Hadi. That's actually a good point. You know, so it doesn't. Yeah.
Do you think about the edit now when you're shooting, or is it even before that? Are you kind of thinking about the edit in your board process?
Yeah. You do and you don't at the same. You kind of want. It's weird because you have to think about the edit, because you think, okay, where's that going to cut? Yeah. Okay, that will never. I need to shorthand that shot. It's a bit too long, or you know, we work in commercials. You know, God, I need
30 seconds.
Too long,
yeah, no.
That's 30 seconds. That's never going to work.
Frame.
So, one frame. You know, you're taking too long, dude. Speed it up. But at the same time, so you have to be conscious of the edit. You have to be very, very mindful of the edit. But at the same time, if you're too mindful of it, you stop yourself from extracting everything you can off you know, from the floor. So in a way, be mindful and say, yes, that's what I need. That I need to make this work like this. But okay, then literally in the same breath, say, fuck that, we're going to shoot this extra anyway. I don't know where we're going to put it, but but this is where the magic is. And if you make one of those shots, unexpected shots work, then the film just lifts the film and gives it a whole completely different dynamic. So you have to really have both hats on at the same time.
And I guess that's something that you just get better at the more you do it, and the more edit suites that, you know, would you recommend? And I guess I'm not asking the advice question, because I want you to do the advice for your younger self. But would you have wanted to have maybe done some editing at film school? Would it have been a useful tool to have seen that process back then when you first started?
I don't think so, actually, if I'm totally honest. Simply because we don't have the patience. We're not, you know, I said, fuck that. I don't want to stay in this boring dark room.
Yeah.
You know, what's wrong with you?
I want to shoot.
I want to shoot, you know, and rightly so. You've got to shoot. So in a way, arriving at a position that you actually respect and value the edit suite is a natural part of it's a course of the game. You know, you can't tell yourself, oh, you've got to edit more because you'll be a better filmmaker afterwards. No, not true. You just gotta go through it. and eventually you will get there. Because you could, there's no way you lock 20 film, 20 films students into a room and say, stay here and love it and understand the craft and what.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. We want to shoot, and rightly, like I said, rightly so.
Amazing. Now, what would your advice then be to the younger you? And at what stage would it be? Would it be before film school or just after? Or just what? Yeah. What are you saying to yourself?
I'd probably say the main. Actually, look, I would say shoot more. Get a camera, live with it, breathe with it, walk or go to the toilet with it. Just keep shooting.
Yeah.
Just keep. Doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, you don't want to shoot, in, some contents, but just keep shooting. Simply because the more you shoot, the more you play, the more you understand what doesn't work, and the more you'll understand why it works. So, look, let me give you an example. Leo Messi.
Oh.
Probably I don't need to go on about Messi. Okay.
It's just phenomenal.
Now, I was listening to a thing on the radio the other day about Messi. What happens is that he does this thing where he picks up and drives. Nobody drives like Messi, and he will drop a shoulder and he'll feint and go the other way. And it's just a classic Messi. He just does it all the time. He does it very well, and it's a high tempo. Nobody can do it in the same tempo. And they were sort of analyzing it. I mean, I'll send you a link afterwards. It's a really interesting watch. But they were analyzing him. How is he able to drop a shoulder at that speed and go that fast and beat that player? Nobody does it at that change of feet. He changes ball in a movement without even breaking stride. Ball changes feet in a moment without even breaking stride. How does he do that? I'll tell you how. Analyze it. All it is that he's done it so many times in practice. He's so many times that something within his brain just kicks in and just automatically just tells him, that's how it worked last time. That's what you did to make it work. So go there again. Or if he's in a situation where it's a difficult situation, he's going up against Ramos, and Ramos is elbows and arms all in his back. They'll go, this is where Ramos broke you last time and got the ball. So don't do that again. So your brain automatically just kicks into that mode. Why? Because it's repetition. That's what we do. So the more you shoot, the more I try to tell the story this way before I put this person in this situation or whatever. That didn't work, or this was great. Whenever the more you shoot, the more you understand the craft. The more you understand the craft, the better storyteller you become. So what I would say to the younger me, be a Messi. Just practice. Just keep doing the same thing. Just do the same thing.
Be a Messi. What a great, it's so true. It's so true. And I guess also that, using the Messi analogy, there is no chance that when he's playing football that he is able to even think about what he's doing. That the speed of thought, there's no one. Yeah, it's impossible. You can't go, I'm now going to drop my shoulder now, and I'm going to do and I guess that kind of trust of gut and instinct, and and I guess you've probably had it hundreds of times. You're on a film set and you suddenly go, the shot's not working. It needs to, the angle's off, the lens is wrong. That is that, and I guess that feels like what you're saying. But I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because what happens is that I now know, because I've done this for a while. I'm on set. I come alive on the set floor. Okay, right, guys. No, that's never going to work. That's a 32 mil. It's too tight. We need something longer, or we need I can, I don't even. Sometimes I can look at the camera and look at the distance between the actor and the camera. Okay, I don't even look at playback. I watch it. I watch by eye.
Wow.
And very rarely do I ever go back to the monitor and say, play that again. I never play it again. I take 2-3 takes and I move on because yeah, that's going to work. Yeah, great. Yeah, boom, move on. So it becomes instinctive. You kind of just, yep. So therefore, my days are always much shorter than most people's because I don't, unless I want to go off and do magic sunset things and whatever. You become just instinctive. Yep. And that's one thing I believe in. Just keep the flow moving. Do not sit there and wallow for hours and think, okay, maybe discuss it. Some jobs need that because they're post heavy and it needs to be discussed. But keep the energy on set. Keep, and all that can only come because you've practiced it. You know that, your favorite lens in the box is the 32, your go-to. And you go to the 32, you put it on, you think, okay, nah, this one's, within 2 seconds, you see one, guys, move on. I think you need a 60, me and the DP, what do you think? 65? Yeah, go 65, go. And it's on within a second, and you could. That's what I mean by my advice to my younger self would be: do lots more of that. Do lots of that. Just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. Go to Ari or Paris, wherever it is. Blag favors. Beg, spend time. There's nothing wrong with begging and asking for favors. You're just trying to learn. And the more you learn, the better you will become. So
well, I guess even now
we're also learning.
They've got the generation coming up. There's mobile phones. They've got some have got 4K or what. It's like the cameras are there. It's not like but I assume in your starting point it'd be 35 mil. You'd have to, or 8 mil or 60 mil. You'd have to blag the film. You'd have to blag the process. You'd have to blag the telecine.
Yeah. I think 100%. That little thing in our pocket, is an edit suite. It's a rental company. It's a sound man. It's all those things rolled into one. So I think you just need the person on the other side of the camera, and that other person could be a sister, a brother, a friend, or whatever you want it to be. So I think the more that you shoot, and because I'll tell you what happens with most people. They'll shoot something on an iPhone or the equivalent of or something, and they'll take it home, and they'll realize that this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. I was hoping to make that sexy little thing, and so therefore they give up and they think, maybe I'm not that good, or maybe no, you're just learning, dude. Go again next week, make the same thing again. Go again the following week, or go again next. Just keep going until you feel like you will get there. You will get there. You just have to keep going. Don't worry about failing once or twice. It's okay.
Love it. It's so true. It's so true. And a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old, just a younger film student, media student, they're the kind of things that they need to hear, because I look back at what I made in film school, which at the time I thought was amazing. And now I look at it and I go, oh my God. Like, it was a process, but it was the journey of fucking up, of learning who you are as a filmmaker. You're right. Go out and film it. Well, look, amazing story. And we kind of get to the point. It's Zoom, like we've been over an hour. So it feels like we're at that kind of 45-minute mark. And I always, towards the end of the episodes, I just want to make sure that I haven't missed anything really important. So is there a topic, or is there a question out of the questions that I've said that we want to touch base on before I give you the floor and you give your shout out to the projects? I can't, and I've got like related stories and stuff, but I don't. Is there any? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, the main thing is look. It's unavoidable, sort of, not to talk about the current state. With George Floyd and all that. We just to touch upon that, and because normally I don't. Anyway, look. I think it's a great moment. I think what's happening right now is fantastic. I think we're all very mindful, that who we are and our actions and what we're doing, the implications of it on others.
Mm-hmm.
We had this with the Me Too movement a few years ago, which I think was a game changer.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully this will be a game changer too. The problem, let's put it another way. What is the industry? The industry is predominantly white, male, 25 to 45, let's say, more or less, 25 to 50 for argument's sake. So naturally, that's what the industry is. And naturally, it's all about perspective. So if you see the world a certain way, you will have leanings towards the people that share the same perspective with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens. I see it X, so therefore I want people to tell stories that have to share the same perspective as me. Mm-hmm. Now, without even knowing it, it's not whether they're being racist or not, whatever, they're just being biased. They're just going towards a world that they're familiar with. If you were to switch that up, the primary, the agencies and the clients and so on, the producers, what have you, and that pot gets mixed up a little bit more, then different voices and different perspectives will be allowed to come through. And that's really the fundamental problem. Then some of it is, yes, there is overt racism, but a lot of it, I think, is just because it's a bias towards a certain perspective. And I think that bias is what needs to be addressed. The people, the components, the people that make up the industry are all the same, primarily the same. And I think as long as it stays that way, we will continue to have less interesting voices coming through. Mm. And I think that's our challenge in our industry, and how to, I'm learning. I've got a young 13-year-old mixed race boy. I'm learning so much from his perspective. He plays a heck of a lot of football. He's one of the academies. And I'm learning so much from his perspective in his football world and his friends and this and that. It's fantastic. I don't want somebody. It's a question of perspectives again. Mm. It's a different world, and there has to be a space for others to come in, especially not necessarily on the floor, but I'm talking about whether it's the finance side or the execs or the creatives and so on, the client management. That's what it is, really. That for me is what needs to be addressed.
Amazing.
More than just let's talk about race. No, let's address the background of it all.
As you said, it's the storytelling. People from different cultures with different stories, with different grandmothers. Like my grandmother was an amazing woman at telling stories, as yours was, but they would have been totally different stories, but with the same themes. But just then those different ideas give people different creative perspectives and different ways of looking at the world, which, you're right. It's just,
But the interesting thing is, I would love to hear your grandmother's stories. Yeah. Simply because it's a different perspective to mine. And I love hearing different perspectives, because she'll tell me, oh, wow, I'll learn something new. I'll see the world in a slightly different place, but way by the time she finishes. Yeah. It's like, I never thought of that. And I guarantee you, if my grandmother did the same for you, you would do the same. Completely. You would see completely different. Yeah. And so on and so on. So that's it. That's all it is. I live in West London. I love listening to the kids talk. I love, it's just a different perspective. And I think the more of that perspective we incorporate into our world, the truer we are to the world that we're living in. Oh. And I think that's the key.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for getting up at the sunrise. It's so amazing. So I always love the last section of the episode. I love to kind of step away from the microphone. I give you the floor. And if there's a person or a project or an organization or anything or anyone that you want to give a shout out to, it's kind of my way of saying thank you for giving me your time. It's now yours to it's yours. So take it. So who would you like? What would you like to say?
Oh God. That's my first shout out, obviously, is to my DPs and my editors. Those two groups of people, I think they support. They're always there. My editor is working for me right now on my school project, and he's in Madrid.
Yes.
He's a wonderful man, you know. And same thing, my DPs. You know, so really, they're and nobody pays us to do these things most of the time. We just do it because for the love of the game. So yeah, it's a massive shout out to those guys. You know, and I think really my producers, they're all good, solid people, human, you know, kind, you know, good, witty, interesting people. So yeah, to those guys as well. And everybody out there, let's stay safe. Let's keep loving each other and caring for each other. I think this nonsense that we're living in has to kind of stop and change. And yeah, of course, to my continent, Africa. I love my African brothers, and sisters. I think hopefully the next vlog you do, you should try and get a filmmaker from Lagos onto your show, because they are, you know, I'll find you one if you need one.
Great.
They tell stories in a complete, you know, they'll tell you a feature film in 5 days. They'll shoot you a feature film in 5 days. That's how they roll, you know. So, you know, that's a different, that's what I mean. It's like, it's a different voice again. And I embrace it. I welcome it. You know, I think, you know, there's lots of ways that we can all do this. It doesn't have to be the same standard way.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
love it. Film Gods Global. Oh, global edition. Yeah, love it. Well, look, I definitely will be hitting you up for that, because that sounds like an opportunity that I cannot say no to. So thank you so much. Love it.
Hit me up. No worries, dude.
So ladies and gents, the outro, I guess we've kind of got to the point now. Firstly, just, you know, the Film Gods round of applause. 1, for getting up so early. 2, for just being such an amazing human being to give us your time. And you know what I'm taking away is the art of storytelling, and it doesn't need to start with a film. It can just be the way that a friend or a loved one sculpts a narrative, and the way that people can communicate with each other. As you said, it's tone of voice, it's the way that you act, it's everything. And as important as that is for creating a wonderful piece of film and wonderful story, it's also just super important for being a human being, to be able to communicate with anyone from across the globe. And I just really, again, I'm going to thank you again for giving your time. It really means the world that someone that doesn't know me was willing and able to kind of tell their story, and I've loved it. I think it's been amazing. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure.
And I hope everyone that's listening, I hope you've had an amazing time listening. I know you have. Share it, send it to someone who needs to hear what's been spoken about today, and that belief to just kind of the relentlessness of pursuing a dream. Again, it doesn't need to be outside. It can be outside the film industry. So share it. Ladies and gents, again, thank you all so much for listening. 6 out of 7 continents. We're still trying to hit Antarctica. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll get there. There's a dream. That's it. That's where I'm aiming for. So I'm not going to ramble on any further. You've all got things to be doing, or people to go and see. So I love you all. Thank you so much, film family. Ladies and gents, until we meet again, that is a wrap. So that was a chat with the king or queen in the game. I give it a shout at the end so you all know the name. It's the Film Gods Podcast. The what? The Film God Podcast.